Okay, so today I took some pictures of my blood samples and I'll be showing you some of the microtech growing inside my body. I have not had the potion inserted into my deltoid muscle. Um, let's see, share screen. Yeah. Okay, so I have a $250 camera on my microscope. It doesn't even show the red blood cells clearly. They're just seen as tiny little red dots here. When I look at them with my microscope, I can see which red blood cells are damaged on the ends. I can see the Rolo structures, but this camera just does not cut it. But it does show, it does allow me to show the structures of the microtech growing inside me, and this is some of them. These are called tires. Okay, so I was listening to David Nixon, and the guy he was talking to was talking about the tires. Well, these are the tires. These are not natural. They're not supposed to be in the blood. I've looked at my blood and my kid's blood a year ago. We didn't have any tires in it. Okay, and you can see how these are kind of hooked together. Let's see, how do I, okay, move to the next one. Okay, again, all these tires in my blood. I don't know what they do, but this is Microtech. These are not natural. Okay, so this is what Dr. Mahaika calls a folded ribbon. And I actually found one of these. I got one of these out of my own blood when I first started, and it had a microchip on it and some wires. And the microchip melted after a while. But you can see this. These structures right here are what Dr. Mahaika calls, what does she call them now? Forgot. But you can see this structure this is a folded ribbon, and a lot of times these are blue. Um, let's just go with the next one. Now, if you use dyes on these, and I have a bunch of different kind of dye, these these tires, they'll change color on the inside, showing you that they are not air bubbles. Dr. Mahaika always talks about how they're definitely not air bubbles, and you can prove that by adding dye to it because air doesn't dye. Okay, there's some liquid in there if it's dying. Okay, and here again we have these structures inside. Um, Basically, they just grow parts off that fall off. And here you have one of the tires. Okay. Now, if you have two air bubbles and you push them together, they join and become one. But you can see these two um, structures in my blood don't join and become one. They still have this divided line. And, I've seen them break off. And I think these things break off and create the folded ribbons. Okay. I haven't looked at it enough, but I've looked at it enough to know that that's what happens. Okay. Now, when you look at your blood, obviously this is my blood, and these are the nanotech structures in here. Hydrogel is what Dr. Mahaika calls them, and they probably are. Um, these a couple weeks ago used to be white in me, and then I looked at a person that took 4 doses of the potion, and they were like a dark blue. And now mine are starting to turn light blue. So anyway, you can just see how these are not natural air pockets at all. And again, all you have to do is add some dye to them, and they color up pretty well. And again, you look at these divisions, okay? So unnatural. Again, pieces just kind of fold away and break off from time to time, and they sometimes join together. Okay, this is the only slide I'm showing that doesn't have any dye on it. This was just a little folded ribbon I found inside my blood today. All of these were today, July 8th, 2023. Now, someone that just looks at the blood, they look at these and think, oh, those are just air bubbles. Well, these are not. I have found these tires in all 3 samples of beef that I've looked at, 1 from the store and 2 from butchers who acquire animals locally. All the beef has tires in it. This is the most common type of tire I see in the beef. Okay. Now, I guess people probably want to see, they probably want to see my microscope because this is what people ask me about most. And this is just, let me try to see it. That's my microscope right there. And you can see some of my dye right on the edge. These are the ones I used today. This one and this one. You just buy a box of, what did I buy? A box of 8. Okay. Let's see something else. Okay, so this is the microscope. Everybody always asks me because they know I don't have an expensive one. I have a cheap one. They don't want to spend thousands of dollars and get the same one that doctors have. That's my microscope. It can be purchased for about $400. This is my camera. Obviously, it was totally inadequate. You couldn't even see the red blood cells in it. $250 does not cut it for a camera, but it does allow me to show you the Microtech in my blood. Now, I have checked the blood of 15 people living in the Salt Lake area. All of them have horribly diseased blood. There are role structures in all of them, even the super healthy little kids, the 6-year-olds, 7-year-olds, the teenagers. This is just, the powers that be infiltrated the alternative groups so that at a time like this, they could cut off the information flow and keep the majority of the alternative people thinking that, oh, the ones that took the potion are all screwed and we're fine. Well, you're not. You're a few months behind them, okay? You're a few months behind them and that's it. I think it was a psyop to make him just relax and say, oh yeah, the guy died down the street. He probably spent too much time around the people that took the potion. But I won't worry about it. I'll just sit here until I die or get turned into a machine because, hey, I know I'm safe. I didn't take it. Well, the clock's ticking and you aren't safe. So if anyone needs to research this further, you need to go to substack.com and type in David Nixon. He's a doctor in Australia. He studies this a lot more than I do. And Dr. Mihalcea, Mihalcea, just type in her name. I email that link to people with Dr. Mihalcea's Substack and it just doesn't go through. So, I wouldn't even bother providing a link. Anyway, that's about it. I just wanted to show you that I do have the camera. I can take the pictures. And I agree with everything I've heard from Dr. Mihalcea so far.